Good evening, everyone. My name is Katie Gideon, and I am so excited to be working with all of you on this social. We are going to be covering the Believe in Yourself exercise on page 14 and 15 in your December journal, as well as the self-care bingo. So I am dialing in from Houston, Texas. And I am super excited to be doing this social with my wonderful co-facilitator, Malika, who is going to pop in and wave, and she is joining us from California. So we are super excited to start this social. This one's going to be fun in a sense of, I think we're going to cover kind of the whole spectrum of all that is kind of socials. We're going to hit kind of some of the deep topics that are definitely could be, draw some tears, draw some reflection. We cover one of our really nice kind of imagery reflection, and then ending it up with a very fun bingo option. So you're kind of going to get the full spectrum all in one social. So super excited to start that with you. So I see a lot of returning socialers, so I am so glad to see all of you coming back. Welcome. And I see a couple first-time socialers. Also excited to have you. Make sure your chat is set to everyone so that you can share with the Sonder fam that's on the social here. Also, make sure you have your December journal with you, something to write with, colored pencils. If you speak better with thoughts and stickers, have those stickers with you. Have something to drink all handy, get comfy, because we are going to do some self-care, self-reflection. So we are just excited that everybody is here. You have set aside this wonderful time to focus on you and your self-care journey. And we're excited to get started. So everyone's already entered into the self-care raffle. And we are embracing a new theme this month, which is Believe, which I think is always super fun when it comes to December. I feel like I'm definitely one of those when it comes to the holidays. I still get very teary-eyed with holiday seasons. I still get teary-eyed at movies. So I love all that it is. And I think this is just one of those really great times to celebrate believing kind of the magic of the season that I feel like we put into it as we grow up. And then now, as we are collectively here, turning some of that belief into ourselves. So I feel like this is one of those like great themes to close out the year. And I also think that's what's great. If you've kind of been with us on a longer kind of self-care Silk and Sonder journey, we've had this really wonderful ebb and flow of new themes. I feel like there are ones that just speak to your heart, and then there are others that, it's going to be a challenge. So understanding that there are challenges to all of these, as well as some that just truly embrace it. So we are here to celebrate and support all of those things. And if you're just joining us to kind of be present with the group because you've had a rough day, a rough week, you're not feeling well, we are glad you are here with us. Do as much as you can, do as much as you want, participate in the chat or don't participate in the chat. We'll work through the prompts, but if you just want to sit there and be around and focus on just you, that is what we're here for. But as we roll into our new agenda, we've got a Believe activity, and then we're going to roll into those exercises within the journal prompt. But the big answer is no one is grading these. You don't have to turn these in at the end. So just do what works for you, what speaks to you, what you need. So go ahead and turn into a blank notes page in your journal, or you can, if you've got not necessarily a notes page available or a blank just kind of section, we're going to start with our first activity, which is a Believe activity. So in this one, when you find your notes page or your notes section, you're going to draw a star. And that star is going to represent you. So you can put your name in the middle of it. And then on each side of the star, you're going to write something that you're proud of yourself for, something you've accomplished or something you love about yourself. So whenever you're having trouble believing in yourself, take a moment to look at this star and reflect. So I'm going to challenge you when you look at this. This is your star power. It's one of those things. I know you can be proud of some of your kind of exterior accomplishments, but let's look a little internally. It's one of those, I know you can be proud of your friends, your family, your community. And if that is truly what you are definitely proud of, then definitely include those. But I would also challenge you as we work through these exercises, let's pivot a little bit more internally, which I know can be tricky. I am one of those people. I would rather fix everybody else's problems but my own. So let's try to look a little internally. And so here is a couple other examples of just how ways you can get started. If you've been to a couple of my socials before, I like to follow the directions, but for me, they're merely guidelines. So I created a constellation. I went through that astronomy phase as a kid, and I was super fascinated with finding the constellations. So I have actually drawn a constellation, which, spoiler alert, it looks like the Big Dipper, because that's one of those I always get excited when I can find. So I have then turned each of those stars within this constellation into a particular area or a category that I wanted to acknowledge that I was proud of. So with each minds, I've got a mind star, body star, heart star, all of those as I've gone through, and I have celebrated, things that I need to remember to be proud of with those. And so with that, you can do affirmations, quotes, any of those Bible verses, but you can also look at things that maybe you accomplished this year, or just things that you are proud of that you have kind of come to define some of your kind of personality traits, some of those kind of key moments that you just remember. And those are things that make you smile and you're just proud of those. And then, as I said, you can make kind of smaller stars in different categories to form a constellation, or you can do a big star, kind of like in this example here. But either way, we are looking at your star power, or like I said, in my constellations. And you can also think of it as like what phrases or ideas motivate you to believe in yourself. So if you start to struggle with this, let's go back to the theme, which is believe. So what is something that you need to say to yourself? What is something that you need to hear, either from yourself or someone, so that you can believe in yourself and build up that star power so that you can continue to glow brighter? So I'm going to give you some time to work on this, and let us know how you're doing, and we will see you in a little bit. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. This was a great exercise, I think, to start with. But I love that we're definitely here to break away. We are breaking away from perfection. I loved that people were drawing, they were drawing the stars, but some went the asterisk or circle route. Love that. Stars come in all shapes and sizes. And I even, as I was drawing some of these, I had to obnoxiously remember how to draw a star. My first one, I was like, what is this? I can't even tell what this is. And that's more of just, it's fun to challenge yourself, I think, in those creative ways, but even more fun to then smile, acknowledge that if I acknowledge I am no artist, but it still allows you to kind of provide that creative challenge to yourself. But I loved that folks were sharing some of those powerful moments that they lived through, experienced. Love seeing the affirmations as well. So we definitely have a lot of things that we can celebrate in regarding to our own star power, so that we can continue to believe in ourselves. So this was kind of just to get those reflective creative juices going as we now kind of roll into our next activity, which is definitely going to take a little bit more time. And we've got a couple different approaches to it, but it's also one of those things I'm glad that we started with this kind of star power, star quality, star trait kind of activity, because we're going to carry over some of those traits that we maybe have identified here to answer some of our reflective questions in our journal. So if you could please join me in your December journal, we're going to be working on the 2 prompts on page 14 and 15 first. But again, I'm going to go a little out of order. So we're actually going to work just on page 15 first. And this is, what are the qualities and traits that you embody that you believe to be your greatest strengths? List and describe them in detail. So I know this is going to be a little tricky. So I know everyone just came up with a few of those kind of affirmations, as well as things that you're proud of. Those can definitely be kind of a grounding point for some of those kind of star qualities, star strengths, as well as traits. So you can always start with what you were proud of about yourself as kind of your starting point to use this as a reflection. And I would say this is going to be one of those, you can definitely use it in prose form. If you more of a kind of a list bullet type, you can approach it that way. If you are a kind of draw amazing doodles, I know Malika has amazing doodle skills, and so does Nona Natalie. So you can definitely go kind of the doodle route as kind of your trait, and then your kind of reflection on it. So you can approach this very scary blank page, because it's a scary blank page, they make me nervous. And so you can kind of just start there and build out. There are no right or wrong answers. And then if you're kind of struggling to start in that route, you can also maybe move to, what are qualities that your family rely on you for strength? Or what are friends that kind of would describe your greatest strengths? If you have a hard time kind of looking in the mirror and coming up with those self traits, put yourself in those other folks that you trust and that you love, and that you know they love you, and what would they kind of use to describe you? Or you can also think of, what are some of those qualities that you want to maybe outward show or aspire to show to acquaintances or strangers that they would quickly be able to pick up on. And then at the end of the day, with these type of kind of big, scary blank pages, the fretting of, is this right or wrong? Break up with perfection, and just give yourself permission to celebrate all traits. And the reason I say all traits is because it's also, you can celebrate what you would consider to be those good, positive traits. But I also feel like there are fun, quirky traits that I love to embrace as well. And it's one of those that maybe you want to stand up and define all of you, because all of those pieces of you make the wonderful you that you are. So the fact that, you maybe are consistently late to something, it's like, well, consistency is key. So, embrace all of the good, the bad, the ugly, and the flaws. And if you're still kind of struggling, I've brought in a couple word clouds on this page and the next one to maybe hone in on, maybe these kind of traits give you an idea, because I feel like sometimes it can be hard to define what you think it is. But if you can kind of have this list of words to pull from, it gives you a starting point. So I'm going to cycle back and forth between this and the word clouds. I'm going to give you guys time to work on this. Love that, Malika. What are flaws really? They just add spice to our personalities. So we want to celebrate all that is you, believe in all of yourself, pull in that star power and star quality that we just talked about. And this is your opportunity to celebrate all of those things about you. So for those of you that are still joining, just now joining, we're on page 15 in the December journal. We're answering the question at the top. I'm going to cycle between the two word clouds. Give everybody some time to work on this, and I will check back in. Thank you, everyone, for sharing all of your unique and magical approaches to this. I love seeing the Scrabble idea. I loved seeing the acrostic poem idea. I pulled inspiration from the word clouds that I'm sharing here. But what I at least loved is that everyone is not only celebrating the traits that you feel that are your strengths, but I love that people are including the things that you are working on or that you're trying to do or that what you have been told to do or what you told have been your strengths. So I love that we are using kind of all of the ideas to come up with all of those great things that we are good at, our strengths, and love seeing this celebration of what is you, what is uniquely you, as we work on this. And what I also love about the big giant space of this blank page is that we can start working on them in these socials, but this is a list and these are qualities that you can continue to add and celebrate as you go through the month of December. Good question, Melissa. The acrostic poem is where you write a word at the beginning. So in this case, you could write your name. And so each of those letters will start either the first word of that sentence in the poem, or you can come up with kind of words starting with that first letter to give you a list of words based on that. So I think that's also a fun approach. We have those in other journals that show up for there, and it's usually embracing the theme. But it's also a great way to kind of not only fill this space, but bring back that self-reflection into the common theme, which in this case is you. So now please join me on page 14. So now we're going to answer this next question, which I now know that everybody has been celebrating all of those kind of strengths and qualities that you have about yourself. So now we're going to take that a next step further, which is what is a compliment you receive that you often struggle to accept? And then the question is why? And what would it take for you to believe and accept this compliment? I feel like this question absolutely was targeted at me because compliments make me uncomfortable, not because I have a lack of confidence or any of those things. It's just that weird space that you're like, I don't know what to say. Do I say thank you? Am I too full of myself if I say thank you? So my self-saboteur in my head is just like, oh, so now you think all of these things. So I feel like this was an absolute direct call out to me to face that direct question is, what is a compliment I receive and what's going to make me believe to accept that compliment? So I have provided some kind of additional approaches to this if you kind of struggle with getting started. So I want you to think about the compliments that you receive from others, as well as compliments that you should be giving yourself. So I want you to think of it in those two terms, especially if you're like, nope, I'm pretty good at accepting compliments. But again, is that self-saboteur, is that also what is preventing you from doing that? And then I also want you to think about traits of yours that you would like celebrated more. If you maybe are not one of those that, heavily think or retain compliments, what do you maybe wish more people recognized in you? It's one of those, I feel like I struggle sometimes with things that I'm good at and things that I like, but those may not be the same things. So because my compliments are always things that I'm good at, it may not be the acceptance of a true compliment because those are just things that I'm good at, not things that that mean most to me, or things that I am most proud of. And then other questions is kind of, what do you want to recognize in yourself? What support do you need? And then the other kind of fun question is, when you get compliments, are you surprised more from those compliments when they're your close friends and family? Or do you kind of latch on more to those compliments from strangers? So I think these are all kind of additional questions you can use to kind of mull over. Because again, we got a big blank space. But if you tackle kind of each of these questions individually and give yourself permission to just start writing, do as we kind of say in the Sonder world, do a brain dump. You don't have to have full answers. They don't have to be full sentences. My spelling, unfortunately, is not where it should be. I feel like at my age at this point. So I try to look past that. No one is grading these, but definitely start digging into, do you struggle accepting compliments? Why? And what do you need to kind of embrace so that you can truly believe in yourself for those compliments? And if you don't think you get compliments, you just wrote some on page 15, and you just wrote your star power qualities. So always start with those compliments if you can't. And I will check back in as we keep working through this. Thank you everyone for sharing. This was a really special, I think, approach to this journal reflection. What I found really interesting is that clearly there is a stigma that I think all of us have around compliments, when to accept them, how to accept them, and all of the kind of inner saboteur that I think was really highlighted in this. And I love it when we have those type of things, but then seeing the kind of instant connection that all of us have towards our amazing Sonder fam, but also that collective. We are here to celebrate everybody. And we're here to celebrate all the kind of reflection. And this went really deep, kind of really quick. So I appreciate all that was shared. I appreciate the honesty and vulnerability, especially when it comes to, I think Rev put it really well, is that you have some of those kind of very deeply personal compliments versus some of those that are compliments where you're like, well, are you just saying that to be nice, or is that truly there? That I think was also kind of presented by someone. So I know there's just, again, that kind of inner working, the self-reflection, the self-saboteur. So the opportunity to kind of sit and embrace and look at this head on is immensely valuable. So I'd say definitely challenge you to keep kind of, if you hadn't quite filled up this space, continue to mull over your kind of relationship and approach to compliments. So you can start looking at that. So you can certainly believe and embrace some of those kind of wholeheartedly as you go through all of those things. And I also wanted to give like an additional, as we're talking compliments, shout out to Malika. Isn't she not like the perfect type woman to have in this thing? And I love working with her in those things because she puts a big smile on your face. So thank you again for tackling all of these. We are now going to move into kind of a little bit more of, I would say, the more fun exercises, just because I know these have gotten real popular real fast. So please join me on page 21, and we're going to talk self-care bingos, which I feel like I was never quite the bingo fan outside of just like kind of the required participation points. But I've really enjoyed on my kind of Sonder journey, which has been going on for a couple of years now, that this full-blown embrace to bingo to not only tackle our kind of to-do lists, our to-do lists, to set up for seasons, but this wonderful, amazing concept of self-care bingo. And now the opportunity, because I know a lot of you guys build your own bingos on notes pages. Here is one that we can now build in its beautiful kind of formats. So there's a couple different ideas of ways to approach this. So I have tons of examples around kind of these ideas that I've gotten from different places. But as recommended, I know for those that are new or maybe haven't fully embraced the kind of bingo approach to things, you can always start with kind of what are practices do you want to start, stop, and continue? What makes you happy? What are maybe new interests or hobbies? So you can pull from kind of previous habits, but you can also make this related to your journey, especially when we're dealing with self-care, self-reflection. And that's the simple things of like, maybe it's attending a social, which you all already have. Yay, you got a bingo square. You can work on like coloring pages, kind of the prompts, repurpose the notes page, similar to those. If you're in the app, similar to some of those bingos in the app, if you're I'm more of like a pen to paper person, which is why I do love my Silk and Sonder journal. So I like to go kind of back to that and I gravitate towards that. You can also do an end of the year bingo, holiday preparation bingo. You can also come up with different themed ideas. A few times I've used like a theme for each row where it's, self-care, kind of workouts for like my self-care for my body, for my mind, self-care for my family and my friends, or you can do it in columns to kind of add some structure there. But I always say we love a good theme. So I've included a December self-care one. I have a couple other kind of ones that come from the Silk and Sonder Instagram. So I will be sharing all of those. So give you guys some time to work on this. I have plenty of examples, so put in the chat if you want me to scroll back and forth to different things. And yes, Starbucks peppermint white chocolate mocha count as self-care. That needs to be on a square, and I need to get a picture when it's done. And then what I always say is you can always have a grace space, which is your free space is something fun, but the grace space is where you have made the decision, the proactive decision that it's like, I'm not going to do something, I am going to set a boundary, and I'm going to choose to do something better with my time. I feel like that is also a great gray space. Or I just didn't want to do anything because I've had a day, I just made it through my day, and I just need to sit and not do anything. So give you all time to work on this, check back in. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. You guys had such amazing ideas. I certainly filled up mine in no time. And I feel like this is one of those exercises, if you give yourself permission to do, it goes really pretty quickly. And what I also love is there are no right or wrong answers. This focuses on you. This is your self-care. So definitely binge watch those shows. Pick up that extra Starbucks mocha, spend a little more time in those hobbies that you love, watch all the Christmas movies. And I have found a couple other kind of fun bingos as I was working through kind of looking for more bingo ideas, is they have some really fun like watch bingos. So when you're watching your shows, you can do bingo. So we can get full blown, like all obsessed with believing in bingo again. But thank you everyone for sharing. Like I said, this was kind of a definitely fun, very peppy way to end this social. But also to the point, can you believe it? We're already done. That was an amazing hour well spent just on all of your self-care, self-reflection. Like I said, this was a big kind of ebb and flow of the very deep, the very reflective, the continuing the conversation, as well as some of the fun imagery activities, as well as bingo. Who doesn't love bingo? But we are so glad you guys joined us. Thank you for sharing everything in the chat, all of the support, all of the celebration, all of the trials and tribulations, as well as the honesty there. This is what makes these socials so special. So please scan the QR code at the beginning for the survey. You'll also receive it in an email. We read all of that feedback. That is where we have new times. That is how socials were created. That is also how our on-demand, kind of the YouTube archive of social events are there. So if you don't have that link, it is unsearchable through YouTube, but make sure you have that link handy. Use the QR code, because if you want to go back and review a social, if you show up late, if you have to leave early, if you want to see some of those kind of other setups, different perspectives, because I know there's going to be another one of these socials later in the month with a different facilitator. So definitely check out those YouTubes, because there are also days where it's like, I know I want a social, I need a social, we don't have it scheduled. So I can always go to that YouTube channel and watch what social I want, what I need, what speaks to me at the moment. And then also, if you're not a part of our Sonder Club in the app to continue the conversation, please download that. I saw that we had some great bingo boards that we need to share. I would love to see your stars or constellations. And thank you again for joining us on this Wednesday night midweek social. Thank you, everyone. It has been a wonderful time. I am so excited to have spent this time with you, and I'm so proud and happy for all of you for setting aside this time to focus on you in whatever capacity you tackled them in social. I am proud of you. I am glad that you came, and I hope you have an amazing week, and we will see you again. Thank you.
Find the wheel and it goes round, round, round as it spins along with a happy sound as it goes along the ground, ground, ground till it leads you to the ones you love. And your love will hold you round, round, round in your heart's a song with a brand new sound, and your head goes spinning round, round, round 'cause you found what you've been dreaming of. Oh, in the night, see the lights, the moon going round and round in tune, and the falling snow in the day makes them all wanna say this is really loud.